Welcome to eHealth Learning, inspiring professionals worldwide.
Great, so welcome everybody. It's a real delight to welcome Marian Dixon, first time on our platform on eHealth Learning. Marian's talking to us from Portland in Oregon. And she's going to be running a course, a workshop actually for us on the 18th of September on working with chronic pain and clients with chronic pain, which is a topic that all of us therapists struggle with, I think. And so she's going to be looking at it from the idea of the difference between chronic pain and acute pain. And also various approaches that we can use, which might include movement, massage techniques, and I think a little bit about the psychological and social aspect as well. And tonight she's just going to be talking a bit about her experience of working with chronic pain and what she's going to be covering in the course and her approach to working with this. So welcome, Marian. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
So I know you've got a few slides to show and things. Do you want to give a quick overview of perhaps a little bit about your background first and how you got interested in particularly with working with people with chronic pain?
Yes, thank you, John. Yeah, I've been a massage therapist since 1992 and also teaching massage that long. Previous to that, I was a health educator. It's very important for me to educate my clients as well as let them be passive subjects. But it really all became personal for me in about 2005 to 2009. I myself got chronic pain and no clear cause, insidious. Doctors couldn't explain it. I went to all kinds of practitioners, including massage therapists, chiropractors, acupuncturists, energy healers, as well as what the Western medicine practitioners would allow. And still, I ended up on 5 different medications for chronic pain. I spent most of my days lying on my couch. I was not functional. And I really didn't feel like any practitioner was helping me. What seemed to help me the most was paying attention to my body. Qigong was amazingly helpful. I'm very, very happy about that. And people who were kind to me and acknowledged both what I was going through, but also my strengths. And that's, so now I am not on any medications. I am functional again. I have a practice. My practice focuses on people with medically complex conditions for this very reason. And I also have a pretty strong teaching practice at Oregon School of Massage. I hope I can say that in Portland, Oregon. So I'm functional now, and I still have pain, but I can work with it, and my life, I have good quality of life. So I want that for other people, but I also recognize that massage therapists and movement therapists, excuse me, are in a unique position in the moment to help people with chronic pain, to help point out not only their difficulties, but also point out their places of ease. And with all of that, actually with the advent of COVID, then I started putting all these things down on paper and saying, I've got to teach this. So here you go.
Yeah, and I know in your workshops, you have your in-person workshops, you have different sort of modules on different approaches, don't you? Like the movement approaches, the psychological approaches, massage techniques, etc. Right?
Yes, I do. I have, well, I have my beloved massage techniques that I like, but I really think this type of information is like a meta approach. It's above all that. But in case you were wondering, my favorite approaches are craniosacral,
Mm,
myofascial massage, and lymphatic. Those are the things I rely on because they allow you to listen very subtly and feel what's happening and follow that.
mm,
And that's the exact skill that I think makes manual therapists and movement therapists who are really listening to their clients, um, like I said, uniquely qualified to work with somebody who may have a very confusing symptom picture and intractable pain, persistent pain that they haven't been getting help for.
mm.
The movement techniques that I like, again, I've got my favorites, but really what works best for the client is going to be what they like. But the ones I like and the ones I start with are Qigong, as I told you. It's
Yeah.
been invaluable to me. Foam rolling, I do foam rolling in a little bit different way. I only use a soft roller.
Mhm.
And I personally like dance. I don't haven't figured out how to use dance except for fun.
Yeah, I mean, it is very important, isn't it, to suggest things like movement that people enjoy, but otherwise they tend to think it's a chore, right? So that's great. In the UK, I mean, I'm sure it's similar in the where you are in the USA. There's a kind of epidemic of these chronic pain conditions like fibromyalgia, and I think you're going to be talking about that in the course, right?
Yes, I will. I touch a little bit on fibromyalgia today, but I'll talk about it more in the course. It's
Yeah,
sort of a special example of chronic pain.
yeah. Okay, cool. Do you want to show some images first, and then we can go into some questions? And if people have got questions, please put them in the chat box. That would be great as we go along, and Marian will answer them.
Great,
So,
thank
yeah, if you
you.
want to share your screen there, Marian, we'll
Okay.
look at
The
it.
other thing I would like to invite people to do, to put into the chat is your background. What brought you to this interview or this
Mm,
introductory talk?
sure.
Because usually people have some interesting reasons, and that helps them uh, in their approach to chronic pain. I'm a big believer in bringing what you've got.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you probably know my background is craniosacral as well, and Bowen technique, both of which are very, very gentle and very, very appropriate for this kind of situation. Mm.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I'm very happy to have that perspective. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share. All right, I wanted to start with this quote by Harriet Goldhor Lerner. It's not only possible but natural for each of us to love our bodies, to find ourselves beautiful, no matter how different, disabled, old, or battle scarred we may be. And like I said, this is really my big motivation for these classes, for my interest in this area, that uh, it's not just to help out somebody with chronic pain, but it's also to be sort of a midwife to help them realize and find themselves beautiful no matter how much we have to contend with. Okay, I'm going to move on. Oh, I need to stop the share for just a moment because so I can get to my next picture. So I'm going to share the screen from a different perspective. Here we go. All right, so I like this little infographic. And if you click on your slides, those of you at home, you can get to this. If you click both the control and your mouse together, you can get to this infographic. But what I like about it is this windy uh, path. It's not just a linear path. It's all over the place, and there are many complicating factors. It's a lot to take in, and I think we're up to the challenge of all that. So it includes uh, when people have chronic pain, they often have had challenging childhood experiences. During childhood, your nervous system learns to detect danger, and chronic pain is a danger signal gone wild. It keeps on going even after the initial cause of the pain has disappeared. So that may have been. So it says 1, 2, 3, but all these are factors. So childhood experiences can be part of that factor in amping up your alarm system to start with. Your coping strategies. It's kind of funny. When you have pain, your coping strategies actually get a lot lower. So your repertoire becomes smaller, and it may be that a perfectly placed comment from a therapist might bring back something that a client actually knew but forgot because their brain is overwhelmed with these pain signals. Pain is a little bit like a crying child that's screaming, "Pay attention to me, pay attention to me, pay attention to me." Okay. And so we can bring back with a well-placed word or a well-placed touch or a suggestion to take a little breath here. That can bring back a lot of other coping skills. The health experiences that you have. So unfortunately, some of the health experiences that I went through to try to heal my pain were scary. There is a particular treatment where they cauterize your nerves, and actually it ended up amplifying my pain. And those 5 different pain medications, they dull the pain, but they dull everything else. And after a while, they don't even work. It didn't even work for me. So some of those health experiences were just frightening. Everyday adult stress, and particularly now with COVID and with climate change, a lot of stress in people's lives. Major life events. They list several here: change in relationship status, change in housing, death or loss of a loved one, change in your employment or career, discrimination, change in your financial standing, an abusive relationship, or a traumatic event. All of those can amplify the danger signal, which amplifies the sensations of pain. Chronic symptoms, the symptoms themselves are scary. So migraines, fibromyalgia, they're unexplained. They may shift in places in your body. And I don't know about all of you, but when I have a symptom and I don't know what it is, my brain goes to one of the scariest things possible. This is something terrible, and it's going to lead to a painful, drawn out death. I don't know about you guys, but that's where my brain goes. Learned neural pathways is big in chronic pain. Your brain actually gets better in detecting pain, which is it's better at detecting danger signals, so you can feel pain more easily. And that happens along with changes in the brain. there are pain-related stresses. Oh my goodness, I can't work, so I can't support myself, or I'm not holding up my end in my relationship. I'm not taking care of the kids or cleaning house or whatever I need to do. And all this stuff going on creates a downward spiral. It's taking us through now the stages of learning. If some of these patterns are learned behaviors, getting new knowledge can repattern some of the difficulties we're having. And we start to go on the path of self-discovery and encouraging for our clients self-discovery, and helping them with this targeted rewiring. Like I said, a well-placed touch, a well-placed word to take a nice deep breath right here, or to feel your body on the table, or to feel a little movement, that can go a long way in making a huge difference in the moment for your clients and help them build new neural pathways and a fresh perspective. I think I'll stop right there, okay, for now, and see if there's any questions or thoughts that have come up from just wandering our way through that pathway of pain.
Marian, the link to that infographics, really excellent, that one. Was it from curable.com? I saw at the end, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, we'll put that up for people.
Yes.
Yeah, it was interesting that it talked about the early childhood experiences. I think this has been some research around this in terms of exposure to, early exposure to pain, particularly with babies and infants. And we had someone on last year talking about the effect of early interventions, early operations, for example. But I think the research shows that when babies are exposed or infants are exposed to pain, they become more sensitized to pain later in life, which makes a lot of sense. I think that particularly the research was done around circumcision, actually.
Yes,
So
I just saw that. I just saw
you
that.
saw that recently, yeah? Okay.
Yes, yes, yes.
So that can,
And trauma as well. I mean,
so,
from my own perspective, I bring my perspective a lot. It's the N of one, research group of one, but I lost my dad at age 7, and I lost my mom at age 18.
wow.
And I think it reduces, it at least sends a lot more danger signals into the system, kind of predisposing you to pain.
Yeah. And with chronic pain, you tend to get a more active sympathetic nervous system, don't you, as well, which can lead to symptoms like anxiety and stress and etc. Yeah.
Indeed, you do. Fight or flight.
Fight or flight. Yeah. We had Robert.
And now we know that there's another component, the freeze component as well, from the vagal nerve. So
Yeah.
all of that.
Yeah. You might be getting onto this, but it's a little bit of a difficult area that some therapists I know working with people with chronic pain, or some therapies, or a client might have been to a therapist who and the client then experiences the therapy as painful. So they might have something done to them, which is in a way increasing their pain. And I'm just wondering if your approach would advise any therapist to be gentle enough that you're not going to increase their pain levels, which is challenging, particularly when you're working with people with fibromyalgia, for example, who are very can be extremely sensitive. What are your thoughts on that, Marian?
That is exactly my approach. I don't think it helps people to add more pain to the system. I think instead it's hugely helpful to add ease to the system. So a client gets that kinesthetic understanding oh, I'm touching here, I'm feeling resistance. Resistance now is very different from pain.
Mm.
Tension is different from pain. So, very helpful to be working with the client both verbally and non-verbally. One of the things I love about craniosacral is that you go in the direction of ease.
Mhm.
You follow in the, you try, you sense resistance, you go up to resistance, but you don't poke past it, you don't push past it.
Mm.
You listen to it so the client can feel it also, and then you allow it to unwind, or really you follow it into unwinding, and that's a validation in itself.
Mm. And Marian, the kind of hands-on techniques or massage techniques that you use, do they involve a lot of light touch? Because I know that, again, there's been some research around very gentle kind of stroking type touch, very light kind of touch can really soothe the nervous system down. I sometimes get clients to do that, or get their partners to do it if they've, say, got a very painful wrist or something, just to very lightly stimulate the skin. And that seems to calm the pain impulses down. I don't know if you do anything like that as well.
Yeah, there's actually a type of chi massage done for kids who are hyperactive, and that uses that sort of gentle effleurage like that you spoke
Yeah.
about.
Hmm.
Um, I use a combination, depending on what works, of the craniosacral, the lymphatic, maybe a little bit of that chi massage, but also myofascial, which can be deeper.
Hmm.
The key to them all is going down to the level of resistance that both the body gives and that the client gives feedback, is where they can feel it. Like it's a lot like yoga. Actually, yoga, you stretch until you feel, oh, I can feel it now, but you don't, at least in the yoga that I do, I don't try to push past that. I
Hmm.
don't think that's helpful. So it is helpful to feel the tension, to feel the resistance, and then see how the body leads out of that. And if the client's body doesn't lead out of it, I might lead them out of that with movement, with gentle. I really like passive movement.
Mm.
I love passive movement
Mm.
to the extent um, that the client likes it. So I have this one research study that I love, and I would like to tell folks about it. It basically, Donna Kalekulani was the principal investigator, and she put people into groups of massage, acupuncture, and reading a book for back pain. Okay. And then she had another group where people got to choose whether they got massage, acupuncture, or reading a book for back pain. Guess which group did the best?
Well, I would imagine the massage group, probably, right?
It's the people who got to choose no matter
Oh,
what
I
they
see. Sorry,
chose.
who got to choose? Yes, I understand. Yes.
Yeah. And so to me, it's really important to give the client some choice and to listen to that.
Hmm.
Sometimes they don't know exactly what they want, but to the extent you can give them authority, that's really helpful.
Hmm. There's a question on Facebook here, Marian, saying there are, I'm not sure who this is, but there are bone therapists from Portugal, and she has psoriasis. So I really want to help people with chronic pain and autoimmune diseases. I have a client with a frozen shoulder and fibromyalgia, and sometimes I don't know what to do with her because I cause her more pain in the week after the treatment.
Mm,
She's asking, how can I work with her without causing her more pain?
okay. So I do have to say, sometimes when I'm doing lymphatic work, a client may feel fluey or a little bit more pain, or even myofascial work. They might feel a little bit more pain for a day or two afterwards. And I tell them that could happen. I don't tell them that's going to happen because it's predisposing them
Hmm.
to think that. And then I tell them, but then it's very, very likely, and in fact, and it's been the case in all the situations I've had where then after that 2 to 3 days, they feel much, much better. So just knowing what to expect may change that perception of pain. That's number one. I have another way of answering that, another answer to that as well, which is sometimes I actually work with clients off the body. I use my intention. So I'm not even, I can think of a whiplash patient I had. You really couldn't touch her at all, even for craniosacral. I just couldn't get my hands on the body. So I would use that Chinese principle, qi or energy follows yi or intention. I would use my intention to invite the body where I wanted it to go into more ease. So those are my two options that I would try. And then I don't know everything, so then give me feedback. I'm perfectly happy to. Everything is iterative with chronic pain. You try something, you're not causing irreparable damage if you cause a little bit more pain, but you're trying to avoid that. And if they come back the next week and they're saying, wow, that really, really hurt, I'm going to try something else. I'm not wedded to anything. So I have my favorites, but you know what? If I have somebody who come into my clinic and they want me to do deep trigger points, I'm using my elbow to show this, which I don't love to do, but I know that it helps them, I'm going to do that. So I'm hoping that answered the question with several options. It's not one right answer. It's not one thing fits all.
Thank you. Did you have some more slides to show, Marian?
Yes, thank you. I will go ahead and do that.
Cool.
Okay. All right. So what is pain? Going back to the basics. Pain is an unpleasant sensory, and I underline some things that I think are really interesting. It's both a sensory and emotional experience. It's not just physical sensations, but there is also that psychosocial component. Okay. And also, it is associated with actual or potential tissue damage by Merskly and Bogduk. I'm not really sure how to say that name. But yeah, it may with chronic pain, the actual tissue damage may have healed completely, but the mind is so involved with expected tissue damage that it causes pain. It causes that sensation of danger. How is chronic pain different from acute pain? We're going to talk about this a lot more in the course because I really want you to get a feeling for this, both an intellectual feeling and a kinesthetic sort of understanding. But here's some ways that chronic pain is different from acute pain. First of all, more signals are going through, more nervous system signals. So there's more impulses telling you pain, 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 pain. So when that happens, people actually get a lower threshold as to what registers as pain. Sensations can be more intense. What some other people feel as just a little bit of pain, somebody with chronic pain, that's like out way through the roof. That's like a 10. Also, pressure or other sensations can be felt as pain. The free nerve endings that register temperature changes, they also register pain. So they can be sensitized so that what used to be warmth or coolness now is felt as pain. Or what other people feel as just pressure now is felt as pain. Also, guarding or splinting tightens your muscles, creates contraction in the muscles. When you have more contraction in the muscles, you have more ischemia, lack of oxygen. The muscles are calling out, I need oxygen, danger. That can cause more pain. And then because you're guarding and you're splinting, you're not moving as much. Because you're not moving, that can cause more pain. All of that can cause more pain. In the workshop, I will actually go through an example of a fellow Chris tripping over a box. In this case, it's a toy truck. That's the closest picture I could find. Chris trips over a box, and we're going to compare Chris tripping over a box in the case where it's just acute pain, that's all that's going on with him. In the case where it starts to flare up, someone with chronic pain. And a third example where Chris trips over a box and he has unrelenting chronic pain that just won't go away, and this just goes on top of it, so that you get a sense of all that goes into it, all that goes into chronic pain, and all that you can do to help a person get out of a chronic pain in those stages. I think I might pause here just to see if any other questions have come up. If not, I can go back to the slides.
Yeah, so any other questions, please put them in the chat. Thank you. Yeah, but it's interesting about lack of movement as well, causing pain, because that's very true, isn't it, these days with people sitting?
Yes, sitting, and also if a chronic pattern is causing pain, staying in that chronic pain pattern, or staying in that pain pattern, is going to cause more pain. So I used to teach a lot of body mechanics for manual therapists, and one of the key thoughts is moving, because even if you get in a position that hurts, if you move, you'll be out of it before long. So you're cutting off one of your coping mechanisms. Also, it's one of the mechanisms that brings joy. I see that someone has asked, how much do I use breathing for pain? A lot. I use breathing for pain a lot. And in the moment, I bet you use breathing for pain a lot too. Any manual therapist, when you put your hand in an area and you feel tension, and you have them take a nice deep breath and relax out of that so you can feel that releasing, that's using breathing for pain in a very subtle way. When you see that somebody's not breathing and you ask them to take a breath, that's using breathing for pain. When you help them feel the depth of their breathing, the width of their breathing, and the length of their breathing, that's helping them get more space in an area that's contracted due to chronic pain. It's a wonderful coping skill and a wonderful example that you can give to your patients that will empower them in the moment.
Right. Okay, good.
I guess I'll go ahead.
Yeah, do you want to go on with the slides?
Yes, thank you. Okay. So you've probably heard this before. Pain is multifaceted. It is biological, psychological, and social. Biopsychosocial is a key word. And it's actually more than that. It's personal. It's personal. But what I want you to see is that massage therapy is also biopsychosocial. So massage therapists and movement therapists are also biopsychosocial. And so we have all these different ways that we can help people cope with the pain. So we can affect sensitization so that people feel that, oh my goodness, when they have been sensitized to pain, but if you can find a way that they can feel some ease, you can sensitize them to ease or to relaxation. We just talked about some ways to apply breathing. We can focus on their motivation to move. When they notice in the midst of a session, so I actually use a lot of movement in my session as well. With my myofascial, I'll ask them to do micro movements as I'm holding pressure in an area, and it actually will move them. It will move my hands on their body and help free out some of those stuck adhesions, stuck areas when they move a little bit. And they'll feel that, oh my goodness, that movement helped my tissues to soften. So you can use that in the moment. That these are the physical ways that you can use your manual therapy and your focused movement therapy to help your clients. Psychologically, you can help your clients by validating the pain. Oftentimes people are told, oh, it's in your head, or and that doesn't feel good. That gives rise to much more of the unknown, which is fearful, which causes more danger signals. Just validating your patient will give them some psychological ease. Helping them find meaning in the pain. So by good intake questions and good rapport in your clinic sessions, you can find out what are the activities that give meaning to your client's life. And you can help them increase their willingness to try some of those things that may give them a little bit of pain in the moment, but then give rise to much more ease afterwards. Also, self-efficacy. When you're really listening and following very carefully, you can find out those things that help the person feel like they've got more control. And you can accentuate that in your sessions. Socially, that spreads out to your client's sense of autonomy, their sense of belonging. Just having you to come to and knowing you're not going to give up on them can give them a little bit of sense of belonging. And the sense of perceived injustice, hearing them out when they need to vent, can give some validation, some ease around social factors affecting their pain. Yes, I think I'll go through some of these contributing factors. We talked about life factors that can make pain worse. If you're worried about losing your job, you can just bet your pain is going to go up in severity. Health worries. Like I said, for me, my mind goes to what's the very worst thing that could explain this unexplainable pain. Oh, I've got cancer, I've got ALS, and it's progressing, and there's nothing I can do about it. It's persistent, it's progressive. Health worries are going to amplify my pain. Worries about how I can take care of the family. And how I relate to my important, significant others. That will amp up the pain as well. How am I going to be as a sexual person? Maybe some movements hurt, or maybe I don't feel as attracted or attractive as I did before the pain. And then the doctor and hospital visits can be traumatic in themselves. I mentioned the cauterization of those accessory nerves, which is a standard practice for some for pain centers in America. I don't know what it is in the UK and on the continent, but that's a standard procedure that causes a lot more pain. And then the adverse effects of procedures or medications. So I talked about the procedure, but some medications, often antidepressants are prescribed for chronic pain because the same places in the brain are activated for chronic pain as are activated for depression. And also, gosh, if you have chronic pain for a long time, it's going to make you depressed. But after a while, some of the antidepressants stop working. And then you're left with, oh my God, what am I going to do? Okay. And it takes a while for the new ones to kick in. I'm not saying that you shouldn't ever take medications or procedures, but they can be contributing factors and contribute some adverse effects that amp up the pain. And then we mentioned before, gosh, if you've got pain that won't go away, it's not surprising you're going to be anxious. And if you've got pain that won't go away, it's not surprising you're going to be depressed. But guess what? More anxiety and more depression create more chronic pain. It creates a feedback loop. It's called a positive feedback loop with anything but positive consequences. It's negative consequences. And then another contributing factor is when you have pain, you start avoiding not only movement, but experiences. Oh my goodness, I don't want to go out because I could hurt. When you don't have that to balance out the negative experiences of chronic pain, on balance, what your brain does is go to, oh gosh, I'm in more pain. Let me just stop share for a second. I will speak a little bit and much more in the course to fibromyalgia, which is a special case of chronic pain. But just to see if there's any questions that have come up that I should address right now.
Yeah, I was just wondering, Marian, if you could just talk a little bit about what, because it's a 3-hour workshop on the Saturday, the 18th, and it's from 3 p.m. And I'm just wondering how you're going to kind of organize the afternoon.
Yes, so we will take a little break every hour because sitting there for that long is not conducive to dealing with pain, like a 5-minute break. And people are very much encouraged to stand up, move around, do whatever they need to do to be comfortable. But in the first hour, I'm going to focus on the nature of chronic pain. I'm going to talk about, I really want people to get a sense of the complexity of the condition, how it is biopsychosocial, and more how we can affect it biopsychosocially, and how it is affected also by a client's unique experiences. We will talk about more acute pain versus chronic pain, the differences, and we'll have a little interactive session around building empathetic and manual skills that you can positively affect your clients who have chronic pain with. In the second hour, we'll be comparing acute, subacute, and chronic pain, and we'll do much more with that example of Chris tripping over the box so that we can really see how we can help in every stage. I don't want us to feel like, oh my goodness, we should just throw up our hands and walk away. We can be helpful at every stage. And we will talk a little bit more about fibromyalgia in the second part. And then in the last part, we're focusing on pain and meaning. The last hour will focus on pain and meaning, because the meaning that a client ascribes to their pain will really affect how they're able to deal with it. And in addition, how the manual and movement therapist can shift that meaning to a more positive one so that people can find some hope in their situation rather than just helplessness. And then we'll review some important takeaway points and finish up. Throughout the whole thing, I'm really inviting that the 3-hour workshop is a true Zoom presentation where we're interacting in real time, where I can gather up the wisdom that you folks have out there, and we can use that collectively to get a better handle on chronic pain. Because I don't know everything. Research doesn't know everything. There's a lot of things I have to share, but I also want to incorporate your knowledge.
Brilliant. Thank you. Yeah, really looking forward to it. Thank you. So we just got about 10 minutes left. You've got a few more slides, right?
Yeah, let me see what I can move through. And
Cool.
thank you. Thank you. Okay. There, like I said, we will talk about fibromyalgia. It's a special case of chronic pain. We'll talk about it more in the workshop itself. But this is an overview of fibromyalgia by the Mayo Clinic, and we'll stop and talk more about each of these points. Also, I wanted to acknowledge that working with this population, the chronic pain population, can be difficult for the manual and movement therapist. Your clients can be cranky, moody, dealing with depression and anxiety, dealing with lack of sleep, may want to vent. They may want you to just be quiet. Who cares with all the stuff you know? Just work on me. And the results may be short-lived. That all can be disheartening. So I want to talk about ways that we can recognize that and take care of ourselves. Oops, sorry. This is an important quote, and you'll see it again in the workshop. In order to empathize with someone's experience, you must be willing to believe them as they see it and not how you imagine their experience to be. Renee Brown, very well-known researcher on shame and vulnerability. And shame is something that comes up a lot with chronic pain. Like I said, in the third part of the workshop, we'll be focusing on pain and its meaning. Pain is not just a feeling or sensation, but it has meaning. And some of the bad meanings it can have be a threat to livelihood, threat to your family or social status, and a threat to your perception of just who you are in the world. Yes, this last one you'll see in the workshop, but I have more classes on chronic pain. This has been my work really since I had to grapple with my own chronic pain, but it's come into focus into classes on more classes on pain and inflammation, pain and trauma, pain and research, pain and stress, inquiring into the pain story, getting the shame out of pain, moving from helplessness to hope, body-based trauma relief, and some movement approaches such as foam rolling and qigong that you could share over on Zoom online, that I do share online, and trauma-informed craniosacral, which is the newest one that I'm working on. All of these classes have been class tested in my classes here in Portland, Oregon, and I am eager to see if there's interest outside of that. I'm thinking of this whole array of courses as becoming pain-free or transforming pain. I actually don't know exactly what to call it. If you have ideas, I'd love to hear them. And my major tools in my toolbox are massage, movement, and mindfulness. Just calling for any final thoughts. Thank you all for participating. This is how you can get in touch with me. That's my website. And I guess I'll leave you with that.
Wonderful, thank you. Thanks very much, Marianne. I'm just going to put the link to your course there. I'll just put it up on Facebook, and I'll just put it in the chat here as well. So if people want to get any information or book on the course, as I say, it's a 3-hour course, and it's on the 18th, Saturday the 18th of September, starting at 3 p.m. UK time. So that's wonderful. So any last questions or things that you want to say before we stop? I'm just wondering, Marian, will you be talking, and it's quite a big subject, about languaging at all? Because I know that's very important for us therapists, isn't it? What we say, how we phrase or frame their experience, and what we are feeling or what we are observing as therapists. Because very, very commonly, and this unfortunately often happens at the end of a session, someone will say, well, as they're going out the door, what do you think is wrong with me? Right? So that kind of which is just terrible. And I never quite know what to say at that point, because you don't want them to go out the door with that negative connotation. And even things like if they say, oh, I'm really tight, I'm really tense, or I'm really, how to reframe those kind of things.
Yeah, so more than me talking about it, I want to show you, I want to draw that out from all of you. In terms of my own practice, I do like to focus, I say the word ease a lot rather than pain. Mm-hmm. And I do stop at certain points when they're feeling some freedom, to ask them to really put the clients to put into words, how are you feeling right now in that side we worked with? Mm-hmm. So that they've got the words. Those words are very powerful. And when they're the client's words, they're even more powerful. So yes. More than me telling them, okay, you feel better, when they can say, oh yes, I feel lighter, I feel freer, I can move more, that will hit home. And then I'll say something like, well, remember that, because when you're without me, sometimes when the other side's not feeling so well, you can bring back into recall that memory of lighter, easier, freer, whatever they said.
Yeah.
So it's more of that. It's more I'm anchoring in those good experiences that they have.
Yeah. Because it's, I mean, certainly in the UK, it's very common. I've been for many, many massages myself, when the therapist will say, oh my gosh, I've never felt something so tight around your shoulders, or, all these kind of things.
Yeah, I don't feel like that's helpful. It's just not, no. Yeah, so it is very good to be aware of that languaging. Yes, yeah. Thank you so much, John.
That's great. Well, I'm really looking forward to that. So Saturday, the 18th of September, with Marian Dixon here on ehealthlearning.tv. You can go to the link there for more information. Thank you very much, Marian.
Thank you so much, John. And thank you, eHealth Learning, for this opportunity to share what I am very passionate about.
Yeah, wonderful. It's really, really important work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.